Hey guys, Drifter here. Welcome to Black Ops 3 In Depth. In today's episode, we're going to be reviewing the Weevil submachine gun. This was one of my absolute favorites from the beta, and it's been buffed in the full game, so I cannot wait to share with you the full weapon stats. Had some questions about the different camos and things that I run in the past episodes, so I'll say it again. Whenever you see a camouflage change or a map change, that means my attachments have also changed. I've just been running a unique camouflage pattern with every single attachment so that you will know that I'm doing something different on the gun, so you can see its different performance factors and all that kind of stuff. But let's jump straight into the damage on the Weevil. It'll deal 30 damage up close, 29 at what we'll call almost close range, 23 at medium range, and 19 at a distance. This weapon uses 4 out of the 5 possible different damage ranges to give it a very unique kind of damage curve and slope and profile. What that means is that it will kill between 4 and 6 shots depending on how far away you are from the enemy, and this one usually kills in 4 shots. I find it to be one of the more consistent submachine guns, but you're probably curious about the range on those 4 shots and 5 shot kill ranges and all that kind of thing. The 4 shot kill range on the Weevil is quite good, second only maybe to the Pharaoh and the Razorback at 19 meters. Very impressive there, especially for a weapon that isn't very impressive in very many other areas. And the 5 shot kill range isn't bad either at 25 meters. However, you notice there's only a 6 meter difference there between the 4 and 5 shot kill range, so it's kind of an all or nothing kind of weapon. After that very unique little damage drop range, it just goes off to pitiful 6 shots to kill, which we want to try to avoid. So it really is a slightly closer range submachine gun. Definitely can't use it at long range, but the 4 shot kill range is good. Pretty happy with that. The headshot multiplier is 1.1x, same as the rest of the other submachine guns, or 10% bonus damage for headshots. However, that means it's only going to be useful at long ranges, because if you remember the damage is 30, 29, 23, and 19, it's only going to bump you up 1 more shot to kill for those last 2 numbers, that 23 and that 19. That'll increase that to, a little bit over 25 and a little bit over 20 respectively, so that it will definitely kill in 1 less shot. So wouldn't worry about headshots up close, only go for them at long ranges. Rate of fire is 720 rounds per minute, which is the exact same thing as the Black Ops 2 PDW or MSC. And I don't know if you've been noticing, but I've been listing similar Black Ops 2 weapons in this segment just to kind of make a nice comparison, because some of these weapons do compare very nicely to popular Black Ops 2 weapons. And if this compared to either of the two, it compares much more strongly to the PDW because of the large capacity magazine and the relatively unimpressive other stats. So 720 RPM, a little bit lower on the rate of fire than an SMG. Not a fast firing one, but not bad. Magazine size is very good at 50. Your base magazine size is 50. If you run extended mags, you'll get some bonus. It'll move all the way up to 67. I really don't find that to be worth it for the extended mags attachment. Some people do. I really don't, but I think that's the best thing about this submachine gun is its large magazine. This is really where the Weevil shines and is better than the other ones. It's just got a gigantic magazine. If you like to spray and pray, you can dump bullets all over people. If you like to hip fire before you ADS, you can do that. If you want to guess and try and wallbang, if you just hate reloading, very good submachine gun for that. It's probably the most spray heavy one in the game. But now that we know the damage, we know the range, we know the rate of fire and all these other kind of things, let's talk about the time to kill. This is where the episode's going to take a turn for the more negative. It has the overall slowest time to kill in the submachine gun class. Though I will say it's not that bad. It may have the slowest. There are a few areas where it edges out others, but overall ranges and situations or whatever, this one is either going to be the slowest or second slowest. But it's not like way slow. It's not crazy slow. It's not painfully slow. It's not I'm going to get outgunned all the time slow. It's just a little bit worse than the others. Just a smidge on the not as competitive side. So it's not that bad, and unless you're a really hardcore player, you've got really good reaction time, you probably won't notice it, but do keep that in mind because that's kind of the core of this in-depth. I feel that it has good iron sights. They're easy for me to use, easy to track targets. The bottom is a little bit bulky, but inside its optimal range, it's not such a big deal. Optics aren't needed. I don't feel that this is a good candidate for any type of optical attachments, but hey, if you like them, that's all you. Personal preference and ease of use will probably trump any sort of numbers that I can throw at you. Accuracy is on the good side for some machine guns. It's most likely just because of the slower rate of fire. However, this one does have both vertical and horizontal recoil. I do want to point that out. Most of the weapons in the game tend strongly to either vertical recoil only or horizontal recoil only. This one has both. Thankfully, they're very low amounts of recoil on the both. It doesn't kick really hard up or really hard to the side or any one particular direction, and it is fairly easy to control. It has good hipfire spreads, same as the other submachine guns. Some of them have a little more or a little less, but this one is standard. It's the most standard for the entire class, so good, but not particularly better or worse than any other submachine guns. There is one thing which it is very bad at, and that is aim down sights time. It ADSs in 225 milliseconds, which is tied for slowest in the class. The slowest one, I believe, is the Razorback. That's another 225 millisecond one, if I'm remembering correctly. Most of the other ones are 200 milliseconds. The VMP is 183 milliseconds. So this one will ADS a little bit slower. Quick draw can definitely be more viable. This one's getting up closer to kind of like an assault rifle ADS time. Reload time is also very bad at 2.3 seconds. It is the slowest in the entire submachine gun class, and if I'm not mistaken, I think it's slower than all of the other assault rifles too. So it's one of the slowest reloadings in the entire game, except for snipers and light machine guns. Very, very slow. Pick your reloads carefully. Can be very annoying, very frustrating. Thankfully, with the large magazine, you shouldn't have to reload that often. It won't be as as critical, and you can kind of pick your times to reload, because you can just dump a whole ton of bullets and still have 20 or 30 of them left. It has a medium wall penetration factor, which is the same as most of the other submachine guns and most of the other assault rifles. Kind of strange that you can wallbang with SMGs so easily in Black Ops 3. But now, near to the end of the episode, I'm going to give you my opinion on the Weevil, how it fits into the game, what it's good at, what it's bad at, and some recommended attachments. The Weevil is the jack of all trades and the master of none. I feel that is the best and most artistic way to describe this weapon. The Weevil does everything okay, but it does nothing the best. Like, the rate of fire it's good enough, the damage is good enough, the range is good enough, the kick is not so bad, the hip fire is pretty average. All these things are pretty average, and we've got some slightly slower handling, slightly slower ADS, slightly slower reload time, all that kind of stuff. And it's got a giant magazine, which is awesome. But it does all of these things okay, it just doesn't do them really good. I just don't want you to come off with the idea that the Weevil is terrible and garbage in all categories, because that's not true, but it's definitely not the best at anything. If you're a competitive player, if you're playing in arena mode, if you want the fastest time to kill, most hardcore weapon, definitely not the Weevil, definitely not going to fit your style, definitely not going to float your boat. But the large magazine is awesome. If you like to spray and pray, if you like to hip fire a lot, if you're one of those guys that likes to wall run and hip fire, if you really like laser sight, if you play very, very close range aggressive SMGs, doing ground war, this is very useful, because there's tons of targets you don't typically have the time to reload. Or, you know, if you just kind of like to dump bullets through walls and hope that you find people, also totally acceptable. This is the high capacity magazine for, the high capacity magazine weapon for Black Ops 3. Everything that the PDW was for Black Ops 2, that's this one for Black Ops 3, except it does a smidge less damage, though it does deal more damage than it did in the beta. I do want to point out, though, that the Weevil is by no means a bad weapon. That's not what I want you to take home from this in-depth episode. I don't want you to think the Weevil is garbage, or that you're always going to get outgunned, or that this is a trash tier weapon, or that you should never use it, or anything like that. That is absolutely not true. It has a competitive rate of fire. It does have a competitive shots to kill, and time to kill, and hip fire, and all these. They're just like one hair, one smidgen, one iota lower than the other, so that it doesn't edge out anything else. And your real reliance, or your strength, is the large magazine. It's an okay weapon with a giant mag, so you can throw a whole bunch of bullets downstream and you won't have to worry about it. The Weevil is not garbage. That's not what I want you to think. I actually happen to like the Weevil. Like, personally, I really enjoy using this weapon. It's one of the ones in my permanent classes when I'm not doing in-depth sometime. I like the Kuda a little better. Weevil is very good, floats my boat for a lot of ways. But let's talk about how to make the Weevil better. So, in my opinion, what the Weevil's really lacking is a little bit of lethality. So when you want to create a class, I'm going to say pick one of the following. We can pick long barrel, so we can bump out that 4-shot kill range to be longer, and that gives it a much more competitive time to kill over longer ranges. You can go with a laser sight. If you really want to hip fire with this weapon, if you want to get in people's faces and spray and pray, laser sight will tighten it up. It'll decrease your spread, make it a lot more deadly in that kind of situation. A lot easier to use while wall running, that kind of thing. Or more realistically, the one I think most of you are going to gravitate toward is rapid fire. That's going to boost the rate of fire, which is instantly going to boost that time to kill. Yeah, it's going to make your recoil kind of garbage, but it's not like a super long range weapon anyway, so it won't be the biggest deal. And it's going to be a lot more lethal. I don't really feel that it needs a grip or a foregrip or a stock, or a red dot sight, or, you know, any of the fast mags or whatever. Yeah, it reloads slow, but it's got a giant magazine. You're not going to have to worry about it. Just kind of picking one of the following, going with range, hip fire, or rate of fire to just kind of bump up that lethality, and having a lot of perks is going to be the way to go. But if you've got all the perks you want, if you've got all the secondaries you want, it definitely won't hurt to pick two of the following. I'd probably go long barrel and rapid fire and just really kind of jack up that TTK, but that's me. That's my personal preference. Guys, that is all for this episode. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. The previous episode was on how to shoot down Hellstorm missiles right out of the air, and the next episode is going to be on the Vesper submachine gun. Drifter out.